ya Inoro TV.
Mwiroreri rucini rwega rwa tariki 12 mweri wa kanana mwaka wa 2026 o haria hothe ungikorwo gitwamukira tugakunyita ugeni mitambo-ini ya Inoro TV rucini rwa umuthi. Ino ni tafarira ya uga waku muthenya wa umuthi gukorwo ngigutereba ndi wika handu-ini haha Njoroge wa Maina uria uthiete rutha rwa thiku ciganona. No tafarira-ini ya muthenya wa umuthi mwiroreri tugukorwo tukiaririria uhoro wigie ndereti irathie na mbere kwa ihinda riri, ndereti iria irarugurio ni President William Ruto hamwe na kihiri kia atongoria na anyiti itemi egie mwerekera wa bũrũri egie kĩoneki gĩa kũgacĩrithia bũrũri, makiuga kĩoneki kia mwaka wa 2030 gikirie gukinya muthia na riu ni ihinda bũrũri wa Kenya ukorwo ugiciria guthie na mbere tugukorwo tukirumirira agacira kariku, ni maundu mariku tukinyaniirie, ni mariku twagirirwo ni kugarurira, ni mariku twagirirwo gukorwo tukiongerera, na ni tugukorwo tugigutwara ku mwiroreri nigetha tukorwo tugithikiriria maria marathie na mbere. No guku studio ni tugukorwo na ageni aria tugukorwo nao nigetha tuthie na mbere na guthathaura thabari ya bũrũri wa Kenya hari kugacirithia mikarire ya muingi, hari kugacirithia utongoria na maundu maria mothe matumaga bũrũri uruge gikiro-ini kiu kingi. Koguo mwiroreri onawe no tugukorwo tukeraniria nawe kugerera ndikitwa mohoro nigetha tukorwo tukimenya woni waku. Ni urona ta bũrũri urathie na mbere wega, ihinda riri nirio riagiriru muno ria gukorwo tukiaririria ndereti ya muthemba uyu, na ni maundu mariku twagirirwo gukorwo tukirongoreria. Nie njetago gathani wa Jehia, no wa kamwira twambiririe ndereti tukwamba tukumenyithie mohoro maria tukuhaririirie gukinyagia ithaa riri. Kiambiriria ni ati mundurume umwe arahonia nguraro thibitari-ini wa Kirogoya thutha wake gutharikirwo ni muingi agikwirwo ni umwe wa aria makoretwo makiya thimu cia aikari. Mundurume uyu uria ukurikanite ta Jesse Nyaga wa Shira arauga arahetwo wira wa gukua thumu kuma mwena wa Kiangai nginyagia gwake mucii mwena wa Thũngũri. Nyaga uria ni wa ukuru wa miaka 18 akiuga arakomborete ngari ya gukua thumu na arautwara no acoka. Arauga aratharikirwo ni andu marauga niwe waiya thimu ya uria uramuhete wira. Arauga ati araheirwo fetro anywe handu hake gucino.
Kuna trouser nilikuwa nimevaa, sasa hiyo kamba ndo walitumia kunifunga nyuma mikono. Huko sasa sana ndo walikuwa wamemwagilia petroleum. Sasa wakaniakisha. Mara ya kwanza nikajizima, nikajirola hapo kwa nyasi. Jukula alikuwa ananiakisha ilikuwa kwa nyasi. Nikajirola, nikajizima. Pale wakakasirika, wakasema unajizima? Wewe ni mwizi na tunakuakisha moto unajizima.
Ndio tujue JC amechomeka, tulipigiwa babu yake ndo alipigiwa simu akaambiwa amechomeka na kwa Kiangai dispensary akipata huduma ya kwanza, na akaambiwa anahitaji kupelekwa hospitali ingine kwa sababu alikuwa ameugua sana. Sasa wauguzi wa hapo Kiangai dispensary walikuwa wamemtafutia ambulance ndo aletwe Kiruguya level 4 hospital ambapo amekuwa akitibiwa tangu alipoingia. Akiingia hospitalini alikuwa mgonjwa alikuwa na uchungu mwingi sana kutokana na maumivu ya kuchomwa kwenye alikuwa amechomeka, kwa kusingiziwa kuwa alikuwa ameiba simu ambayo hakuwa nayo, na hatujaisikia kwenye venye kunaendelea kuihusu.
Thegia ya thirikari nene kwiranira ati tafarira ciothe iria yambiririe mwena wa Olkalao hindi ya kambeni cia giturwa kia mubunge citi kurugama, ona muhuraniri wa giti kiu na kiama kia UDA ahotwo. Riu tafarira imwe ni cirikitie kurugama. Wodini ya Karao ni kumwe tafarira ya gwaka thoko, kirathi kia nathari na ndobori ya mai cirikitie kurugama, na kundu kumwe kurakoretwo kurambiririe kurajiriria kwenyukanga. Simon Gure ari na ripoti ino.
Thutha wa thirikari nene kurugoria tafarira kiheri cia ukuria hindi ya mihango ya githurano kinini mwena wa Olkalao Nyandarua, wodi ya Karao yagunikire na tafarira ya thoko tauni-ini ya Olkalao, kirathi kia nathari mwena wa Rũriũndũ na tafarira ya mai thukuru-ini wa muthingi wa Kaga. No riu tafarira icio ciri gutiganirio ona mweri umwe utathirite kuma ikari mathurana. MCA wa Karao Daniel Gitao akiuga iyo ni thoni nene hari thirikari.
Ni project nyingi cigwite ni marokire kuria Kaga marenja bohoro, matie marekira sora matiganirio uguo. He kundu kuria Rũriũndũ kundu kurakirwo ECD yakanirio uguo na iratiganio uguo. Tari guku thoko hena irima riha inene muno, ona ciana cingegwa mathikite na turubao tunini, undu ona mwana angioka hau ne kugwa. Koguo Moses Kuria ono warugamirire wira uyu, cokereria wira waku tondu ona 2027 no murenda mwenda kura. Ningi mutiakaga ni undu wa kura, mwaka ni undu wa service iria muhea mwananchi wa kawaida. Guo muke murikie thoko eno. Atumia ni maraurirwo maranderia mukira wa bara ni magite gwa guthie.
Thoko-ini ya Olkalao mwaka uria urakorogetwo mwena umwe ni wanjiriirie kumomoka na irima ria kioro gukuniko na ibati. Mbica ota iyo ario iragutunga thukuru-ini wa muthingi wa Kaga na nathari imwe mwena wa Rũriũndũ, kuria waki wa kirathi na tafarira ya mai urikitie kurugama.
Ni tungioria mutuigwire thatu muke muturikirie ki bwa huru iyo, mutwikirira miberethi na nigetha ciana icio citige guthinika ni mai, ciambiririe kunywa mai.
Ere ni tuokire tugiakirwo kirathi kira kia ECD, na kirathi kiu twakirwo tikiriku makiria tukona mitaro ya twikire ya kwenjwo. Mitaro ni yarehire thina muingi muno iguru ria ciana. Ciana igituika cia kuikara micii ikiaga guthiaga cukuru ni undu wa marima mau. Tukonaga riu ningi ati ona riria marima mau mehori ithu turi aciari a Rũriũndũ ni turahinyiririka, tona mathomo ma ciana riria matwikite magucoka na thutha ithu niyo turorira.
Aikari maugite onao mena kihoto gia gukinyirwo ni tafarira cia thirikari, ota Kenya aria angi kuona onao ni marihaga magoti, makienda thirikari kuhingia kiraniro kiayo. Akorwo ndirarongoreirie kuha aikari ya Olkalao na tafarira kiundutho
haria police station haria harakagwo kirathi gia ciana cia nathari. Twatigairwo mitaro yo guo ni mathire, tutikimenyaga kana mathire macoke kana mathire atia. Twina thina ni tondu handu hau ciana niho irathomera na ni ciana nini no igire mitino hau. Nie hakwa ingiuria atiriri, tondu nituthuranaga ri ithuĩ twatiganĩirio atia. Akorwo ni mugututeithia ta thirikari ri mutwire muke muturikirie handu hau, ni tondu twina ruo ni undu wa ciana icio cia nathari.
Ngiribotera Inoro TV kuma kaunti ya Nyandarua, rito riakwa ni Simon Gure.
Atongoria amwe aria manyitaga President William Ruto baru riu marenda mutongoria wa kiama kia DCP Rigathi Gachagua kuhugwo mahuri ni ruhonge rwa uthuthuria wa ciiko cia wikinae DCI. Ni miario yake igie ikuo cia atongoria bururi-ini, makiaria mari igongona-ini ria mathiko mwena wa Keses kaunti-ini ya Uasin Gishu. Atongoria ya kuma gitaru kia Rift Valley maugite miario ya Gachagua ni ya guthoga muingi.
Anasema maneno mingi hapo sana. Anasema sijui Raila Odinga aliuliwa. Hiyo ni kazi ya DCI, hakuja andike statement atuambie Raila aliuliwa na nani. Na pia anasema ati Ogolla aliuliwa. Hiyo ni kazi ya DCI, haina andike statement atukonfirmie. Hata sisi tunazunguka tunataka tujue nini ilifanyika kama kuna kitu anajua. Ninaona pia anasema rafiki yangu Ngeno ile mliona ndege vile alijaribu kuinuka na mliona vile kwenda ilikuwa mbaya. Anasema pia Ng'eno aliuliwa. Hakuja tuambie ni nini mambo yote anajua kuhusu mambo.
And if he has any information, he should volunteer to DCI. If he doesn't trust DCI, he should go to FBI or CIA and give the information so that we get the full disclosure of whatever he thinks he has the information. But he doesn't have any information. He's just playing politics of division, politics of hatred, which if not taken care of, it might tear this country apart.
Yake ni kuzunguka tu hapo mlima na kuzungumza hapa ilifanyika, hapa ilifanywa na nani. Tunakuambia na hiyo si tafadhali. Wale familia ambayo wamepoteza watu yao, kuanzia jamii ya Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, jamii ya our departed Chief of Staff, Chief of Defense Okola, Joanna Ng'eno ambaye ni mtoto wetu, kiongozi wa jamii yetu ya Wakalenjin. Tunakuambia wewe heshimu familia ambayo wamepoteza watoto yao.
Nayo bunge ya kaunti ya Machakos nĩtikĩrĩtie kũrutwo gwa gĩcunjĩ kĩa 50 harĩ igana kĩa bilioni 17 harĩ bajeti ya mwaka wa kĩgĩna wa 2026-2027 nĩguo gũtigĩrĩra mĩhang'o yothe ya kaunti nĩ ĩrathiĩ na mbere wega. Metĩkĩranĩtie kũruta ciringi bilioni 8.5 harĩ kĩgĩna gĩa kaunti nĩguo kũrĩha mĩcara na motungata mangĩ ma bata nginya rĩrĩa watho wa kĩgĩna gĩkĩ ũgekĩrwo kĩrore. Gũcererwo gwa kũhĩtũkia bajeti ĩno nĩ kwarahũrĩte ngucanio kuma kũrĩ aruti wĩra a thirikari ya kaunti na ciũngano cia ihoto cia mũingĩ rĩrĩ aruti wĩra a thirikari ya kaunti na ciũngano icio cia ihoto cia mũingĩ rĩrĩ aruti wĩra marũrũnganĩte mũrũrũngano-inĩ wa thayũ.
And further that this amount covers essential expenditures for the County Assembly and County Executive of Machakos County for the financial year 2026-2027 until the full Appropriation Act is approved.
I wish to move the motion that pursuant to Section 134 of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 and Regulation 36 of the Public Finance Management Regulation of 2015, the Assembly authorizes the withdrawal of 50%, and I repeat, 50% of Kenya shillings 17,797,279,725 shillings from the County Revenue Fund, and further that this amount covers essential expenditure for the County Assembly and the County Executive of the Machakos County for the financial year 2026-2027 until the full Appropriation Act is approved.
Na mwĩrorerĩko nĩ kũrĩa kaunti-inĩ ya Machakos makĩarĩrĩria ũhoro wĩgiĩ ũthii wa na mbere wa kaunti ĩyo. Kwa ihinda rĩrĩ mwĩroreri tũgũkorwo tũgĩthiĩ ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe nginyagia kũrĩa KICC kũrĩa President William Ruto aratongoria kĩrugũrio kĩa mĩario ya bũrũri ĩgiĩ ũthii wa na mbere wa bũrũri. Twambe tũthikĩrĩrie marĩa marathiĩ na mbere nĩ tũgũcokereria.
The vision bearers then, who provided a platform for us to put together what today is finally in the sunset years. Vision 2030 has provided a framework for us to figure out our development. It set out that Kenya should be an industrialized nation, middle income, high quality of life in a safe environment. All the targets we set for ourselves, we have been given a review of where we are on the economic pillar, on the social pillar, on the political pillar, and the enablers. And we have been given a scorecard by the Vision 2030 Secretariat. We have done fairly well in many aspects. We've done well in others more than others. We've been given the figures on the political pillar. We are at 80 plus. I think we have an A. And you can see it. We have a new constitution. We have a robust Bill of Rights. We have a democratic state. We have an open society, a rule of law. We have a working judiciary. We have a civil society that is not constrained. And we have made ourselves a very proud nation. In fact, globally, Kenya is recognized as a democratic country. It is part of the reason why in 2023-24, I paid a visit to America, and the single most important component was the fact that we share in our celebration of freedom and democracy. We have been given indication as to where we are with the economic pillar. In fact, I think of all the pillars, the economic pillar is where we have done not very well, at around 50, I think it was 52, 53%. On the social pillar, we are at around 60. We have made progress. Today, we have significantly in our region, we've done very well in terms of paved roads. We have 20,000 kilometers of paved roads. We have a working SGR. We have an expressway. We have dualed some of our roads. We've extended electricity. We now have 10,000 homes. 10 million, 10 million households going to 11 million households connected to electricity. Our transition on education is significant. We have done very well. But why are we having this conversation? And I want to thank the people of Kenya. When I asked the country that it is time for us to have a national conversation about the long-term vision of our nation, we have been explained to why. Number one, Vision 2030 will come to an end in the next 3 years. Medium-term plan 4 is ending in 2027. For us to plan medium-term 5, medium-term plan number 5 is going to take from 2027 to 2032. Yet Vision 2030 is ending in 2030. So we need to have the longer-term vision for us to be able to plan medium-term 5. Reason number 1. Reason number 2. When we figured out Vision 2030, 20-something years ago, the world was much different from what we have today. Technology had not taken the space it occupies today. The advent of AI was not with us. We didn't have the serious effects of climate change the way we have today. We had a completely different situation. It is important that at this point in time, we give ourselves another opportunity to think about the long-term development of Kenya in the context of the world that we live in today. Number 3, when Vision 2030 was developed, it was developed before the new constitution. The new constitution provides us with a better and clearer framework on how to think long-term. And therefore, it is important that we engage in this exercise in the context of a new constitution. A new constitution that does not request us to consult the people. No, it is mandatory. The reason why you find in some cases many people do not understand, do not relate to Vision 2030 was because there was no public participation to the extent that we know public participation as provided for in the Constitution at the moment. And therefore, we have an opportunity this time round, different from the opportunity that was in 2008, to formulate a long-term plan, one that is done by the people, not by government, not by bureaucrats, by the people themselves. And therefore, we need to give ourselves the opportunity, and this opportunity that we have to think about Kenya long term. We want to pick the minds of everybody. The farmers, entrepreneurs, students, technocrats, everybody. Let them tell us what kind of future that we all want to think about. And nobody should assume that any one of us has the monopoly of knowledge. This cannot be, and I make it very clear, this is not a government project. This is a people's project. So Kenyans must prepare themselves. It is a responsibility put on our shoulders collectively. And I will be speaking as a citizen as well, because I also have aspirations on what I think our country should be, beyond me being a leader today in Kenya. And number 4, just so that we contextualize this, the center of gravity, global gravity in terms of growth is moving to Africa. Africa today is pivotal. Why? Because of 4 reasons. Number 1, we have the largest reserves of renewable energy. We have the youngest population, a population that a quarter of the world's population will be living in our continent by 2050. Number 3, we have the largest market that is emerging. Number 4, we have the largest reserves of uncultivated arable land for food security going into the future. And therefore, as the center of gravity, global growth moves to Africa, we must position Kenya appropriately so that we become that epicenter. It is for those 4 reasons in my thinking that this is the moment for us to imagine the Kenya that we all want into the future. Many people may say, this being a year where we are going into politics, maybe this should not be the opportunity for us. Now, I want to tell them, Kenya is bigger than any election. For far too long, we have made elections to look like it is a matter of life and death. It is not. Yes, it is important. And the reason why we have not achieved some of our targets is because we have made our plans not with the foresight of the future, not thinking about the next generation, but simply thinking about the next election. And that is how we haven't met some of our targets. And I speak from a position of knowledge, and I speak from a position of experience. it's not always that you become a president of a country. I have the privilege to be the president today. And I want to speak from that experience, that the pressure that always you have, even when you know as a leader this is the right thing to do, you are told always, this will affect your next election, don't do it. This will affect your next election, don't do it. Many are telling me, oh, you know, why don't you concentrate on the next election? Leave this thing, it can be done some other time. I'm telling them, the next election will come and go. Kenya must think beyond the next election. Kenya must think for the next generation. And I want to ask all of us here to think beyond any election cycle or any administration. We must think about the next generation. Let me conclude. I hope I'm not taking too much time. Let me say the following. I have listened to the presenters. I've listened to Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. I've listened to Adrian, the good young man who is 7 years old. I have also listened to Professor Hino. And as we have this conversation, I have picked 4 things. Number 1, Professor Hino has said, for those countries that have succeeded, and he's given us examples of Singapore, Malaysia, he's told us about Vietnam, and all the other countries. What was central to their quantum leap was the people. Not the oil, not the gold or resources, it was the people. And we are lucky as a people of Kenya because we have the people, and they are very hard working. So we have what it takes to lift this country to the next level. Number 2, he has told us to pay attention to inequality. A very serious challenge in our nation is inequality. We have too many people who still sleep hungry. We have too many people who are jobless. We have too many people who don't have income. We cannot progress as a nation when we cannot take care of the vulnerable. So Professor Hino has told us 20% of the bottom poor account for only 5% of income, while 20% of the rich people, of those of us in the higher category, control 50% of income. So 20% bottom, 5% of income, 20% top, 50% of income, meaning 10 times what the bottom has. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. How we lift those low-income people, how they access, how their children go to school, how their medical bills are paid, how they access employment opportunities, and how we create equality. Number 3, he has told us our opportunity is in raising small, medium, micro enterprises. We have an opportunity there. Sometimes we think they don't matter. But the good professor has told us that is where our opportunity is. How do we make micro, small, and medium enterprises grow? How do they access credit? How do they access opportunities? How do they access business? That should be we should pay attention. And then, number 4, he has told us to pay attention to accountability, to dealing with corruption. He has told us 3 things. We now have a conflict of interest law, which we signed into law. There are many people who want to challenge it because it closes many doors on the people who have access to power, who want to use that power to access contracts and many things. Number 2, he has told us about EGP. We have been trying to implement EGP for many years. I am very happy that finally we have moved government procurement to an electronic platform where contracts can be transparent. We can know who is being allocated, which contract, for how much, and whether it matches the market parity. And he has told us that technology must play a very central role. I was listening to Mercy Mwangangi, our CEO of SHA, and he was saying the single most serious challenge he faces is how to stop fraud. You know? And we are very happy that finally, using technology, we are able to stem theft, fraud, and corruption. And to the good professor who has said here, going forward, technology is going to play a significant role in us taking this forward. So, in conclusion, let me say this. To the people of Kenya, nobody has a monopoly of good ideas. Beyond Vision 2030 is our collective responsibility. We must step up. It is a constitutional responsibility to each one of us. It is an obligation to each one of us to implement the Constitution. And part of implementing that Constitution is to figure out how we appropriate, access, and avail all rights that are provided for in the Constitution to everybody in Kenya. Whether it is human rights, electoral rights, rule of law, access to water, access to education, freedom from hunger, making sure that the Constitution, what the Constitution says, that every citizen must access the highest standards of health, the highest standards of education, the highest standards of housing. It is our responsibility collectively for us to have a plan on how this is going to be attained. And we have the opportunity. I want to pledge here that government is not going to lead the talks. It is going to facilitate. This is about the people. Whatever platform that is required to be provided, we are going to provide the platform. Let the people, in their diversity, the religious community have ideas, private sector have ideas, farmers like myself have ideas, students have ideas, the academia have ideas. Our good friends in civil society, they have ideas. Let us bring the cocktail of ideas and have a plan for our country into the future. It is our opportunity. Let us not abdicate. Let us not delegate. Let us not run away from that responsibility. It is our duty, it is our obligation constitutionally to make sure that we think about the future of our nation so that Adrian, sitting here with us, 7 years old, will know what the future is going to look like. Thank you very much. I hope I have not taken too much, but this is the opportunity for us, and I am very happy to be part of this as a Kenyan myself. And believe you me, I will be part of it as a Kenyan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Your Excellency.
Mwiroreri ucio ni President William Ruto ari kuria nyumba-ini ya mishemanio ya KICC kuria marathie na mbere na uruguria wa ndereti ya kibũrũri igie mwerekero uria bũrũri wagĩrĩirwo gukorwo ukirumirira thutha wa kukinyaniria kĩoneki kĩa mwaka wa 2030 kiria gitigitie o miaka minini tu negetha gikorwo akana ihinda riu rikorwo rigithira. Na toria ngugutariria mwiroreri ni ati guku thiini wa studio ni tugukorwo na ageni aria tuguthie na mbere na kwaririria maundu o maya tukiambaga muthingi witu iguru rigie kĩoneki kĩa mwaka wa 2030 niha tukinyite niha tuthuite na ni maundu mariko magĩrĩirwo gukorwo makirongorerio mbere kana hindi ria turathie na mbere na gwaka kĩoneki giki kingi thutha wa kia mwaka wa 2030. Reke nyambiririe haria haraihu na nie guoko gwakwa kwa umotho na haha turi na Alexander Mucangi. Uyu ni muthathauri wa maundu megie mwathanire, na haha hakuhi na nie turi na Honorable Mary Kirika. Uyu nake ni mutongoria wa atumia kuma kuria kaunti-ini ya Kiambu. Reke nyambiririe nawe Alexander. Horo wa rucini, karibu kwa Inooro TV.
Thank you muno.
Karibu sana. Mary,
yes.
Horo wa rucini.
Mwega muno.
Karibu sana.
Na ningenete niguka guku.
Thengio na ithe nitukenete ni kunyitanira nawe. Na reke nyambiririe nawe Mary. Nawe wakorwo githikiriria president githie na mbere na kwaria kuria KICC igongona-ini riria rirathie na mbere kwa ihinda riri, na kuringana na uria ndathikiriria miario yake ni ta araigwika ni akeneire haria bũrũri wa Kenya uri ihinda-ini riri. Ona angikorwo hari na maundu matakinyanire, kuri na maundu matarathie wega, aigwika akiaria ta mutongoria uretira haria bũrũri uri ihinda-ini riri. Kuringana nawe maundu matiganite maria akorwo akiariririo no korwo ndana kiaririria kwa urikiru no egukorwo akiaria ringi, ni mugu arauga ni mukenya wothe ni aretira bũrũri wa Kenya uri ohana ihinda riri.
Thank you very much. Nego shokia ngatho muno ni undu wa kuheo mweke uyu nigetha tukiariririe maundu maitu maria matukonie ni tondu bũrũri uyu ni witu na tutire na kungi gwa guthie, koguo ni twendaga kunyitirira, ni twendaga kwaraniria na oguo mwakiro njitagwo Mheshimiwa Mary Wanjiru Kirika, nyumite kuria Thika na ndikire umwe waria mara aspire also gutungata bũrũri through parliamentary position. Ni ndugamite as member of parliament kuria Thika, ona ukono twikoretwo in leadership for many years. I've been a mama county and so on. Today ni gwenda ucokia ngatho ni undu wa kuheo mweke unigetha twarie maundu ma bũrũri. Niguo ni ndathikiriria na ndaigua uhoro uria president arauga. We arauga maundu ni mega in terms of the various pillars. Uhoro wa social pillar, uhoro wa economic pillar, na gweta auga maundu ni mega. But gwiciria ithwe tondu ni ithwe tuikaraga na andu kuria ground, kuria mashinani. I don't want to agree with him. Tondu ogwe ucio tiguo uma uria wi kuria mashinani. Wa mbere tukari uhoro wa economy ya Kenya, the economic pillar, which was indeed yagerirwo ni gusupport muno kuma vision 2030. Hard for me, I represent very many women. I am in small and micro enterprises kuria tumia makoragwo kuria twendagia nyanya kuria ke, and dikwenda kuga ati economy ni yagirite. Economic pillar very down. Ni tondo wathie haria ageko ukwendia kindu ucoke igoti riria uretio rirathie rikoya kiria giothe wendia, meaning ona mbeca ciaku cia kuruta wira handu hauthie ukiongereraga stock yaku niguthie urathie gukomba nigetha usurvive kabiashara kau gaku. tutingekiuga economic pillar ni nduite wega at all ethiete editoriated today for us even to put a meal on the table gwekera tu toirio metha-ini kurari kwaya uruta wira like 50 times ya uria twarutaga nigetha uhote ku feed the family uhote gutwara mwana cukuru uhote gweka maundu macio mange kwa ni gwiciria economic pillar is so much affected na ni tukwenda tumecirie kuma haria mashinani tutige kurora ithwe twina mishara because it's like Kenya itodio ikuria ririu kuri andu amwe mekuria iguru muno na kuri andu amwe mari thi muno. We need to moderate. And for me, tutagekira conducive environment ya everybody. Akone youth yaito, have we given them conducive environment ya kwambiriria their small and micro enterprises? Gotire na kundu gwa kwandikwa. Employment opportunities are not there. So thirikari ito yagirwe ko ikinyitirira ciana citu nigetha mundu akiambie kaundu kau kogo economic pillar for me deduate social pillar indeed mundu othe ukoretwo Kenya no social pillar de la ruta wira to because for us to achieve social pillar ni agiriire gukorwo na level playing field haria mungiuga atiriri ha hatirathie wega na mutikaingirirwo haha ni turathie uru na mutingirirwo haria mungiukira muge ciana iria citu cietagwo Gen Z cioragwo ti wega na wauga ti wega utuike victimized. Social pillar ya kuria andu mara socialize ate in terms of engagement thirikari iratu engage ate andu kuria thi onayo ni kwenda kurorwo ngakienda kuga kwe maundu mamwe tungikiuga hihi andu ni merutanirie for survival but if I was asked today nie kindu gitagwo evaluation tugiambiriirie haria tugiatiriri vision 2030 pila ciao ciari iriko because we cannot talk of vision 2060 before you evaluate no mirehe on the table vision 2030 tukiriko.
Thank you reke tuhe Alexander mweke nake akorwo agituhe mawoni make megie maundu maria marathie na mbere na nigetha tukihauturanie president ni auga andu kuri na andu maroria kana ndiri ni ihinda riria riagiriru ria kuruguria direct teno no akiuga kuringana nake ni ihinda riria riagiriru no kuringana nawe Alexander ni itugeire ku icio itumite bururi ukorwo uteguthi uria kwagirire.
Thank you Gathoni. Ni mbuka ku represent Mount Kenya East kuma kore Runyenjes na nginye ngethi ciakwa ku ando wa Runyenjes constituency na mbuge ndo mbere no wega tumenye urea vision 2030 yaukire gukinyanira na yambirwe ni President Kibaki around 2006 na yathire ya conversation ya take almost 2 years na vuvava univotwonire katiba ya 2010 na hiyo niyo havotire go achieve a political pillar ya vision 2030 twagia katiba njeru twagia devolution part of yone pillar ya mbere kendo gya kaire Gathoni kundo wingi vision yo ya naguo ne yo egwa social na economic economic no era maundu ta infrastructure igakuwa maundu ta technology na vaunevo mostly uregwa riu makiuga ne avotu go achieve tondo riu mararoria maundu maria mekikeku ukaroria Thika super highway ukaroria tariu Keno Marwa ukaroria SGR ukaroria port ire ithondeketwe note tukiaragia oma iyo ne tio ya vision ya 2030 we step marugire step ino ya social tondo ne votoke twambite tuke turoria atiriri akisia Kenya riu ni twavetukia political akisia Kenya sieko twita Kenya ni turavota gwitikania something we call trust. Do we build ni turavota ku build trust yetu ta Kenya twina trust yetu na institutions yetu twina trust na atongoria yetu kuma vau tukiathie riu economic tonna gitumi kira giatumire maroge tu economic ne kindu gitagwa interest Gathoni tondo ne hata mwana siasa niene ya push vision 2030 ne ona tonge tuma SGR mbere ninguthondeka billion ciakwa magana mairi na those are the stories iria cieko na niciicikene so politicians maokire spearhead maruga a step ya social pillar mathie to the economic pillar varia makovata ku gain you know politically na economically na kiu no akio kieva kiria twina kio tondu turona andu aria ma ino no ise president we toni mundu wa college mundu ya lodge meario we karogo kidogo no wa college na we gathoni so mundu ya lodge meario 2060 no tikieva kiria kivo ni ati ironeka ta kwaga spearhead ringi ni wana siasa wana tukiuga ni conversation ya Kenya ironeka no conversation ikuthii na mbere na wana siasa taro karoria mundu ria aratongoretie committee one anyang'nyo current governor wa Kisumu anatukiuga conversation ino ni ya Kenya is it really ni umane ya Kenya na andu aria maramitongoria no aria maikuo wathikiriria mundu ta anyang'nyo arauga aikuo launch ya 2030 vision 2030 riu no akeringi arauga ku launch 2060 which etae tutia kinyaniriru uria kwavatie koguo kwina gap icio nicio cia ironeka cievo nundu wa gukinyaniria vision ya 2030 na ciarega kurorua mbere tondu omata omane ati vision 2030 ina challenges iria ni mbicine tukwariria no ti ciarega kurorua
neta ireko twathithia ndereti ino na mbere ni ireko icio citumite ati njiguire chairman wa hindi wa vision 2030 akiuga ukinyaniria wayo no amihe gikiro kia 66 harĩ igana ni mihinge iriko iyo itumite tutigetie miaka 4 nigetha ihinda riu rithire tutire turakinyaniria
nguga kindu kia mbere the biggest challenge ni iyo twauga political interference ugakora wana siasa ni maratonyerera muno kindu gia kairi na ngwiciri nikyo kiravati gukorwo in the center ya conversation ino ni corruption integrity yetu ta Kenya tondu without integrity anatoka thondeka vision begatea tutingivota gukinya vandu so those two integrity na wastage ya resources iyo niyo the biggest challenge na iyo niyo evatire twambe twariririe in my opinion
Honorable Mary ni maundu mariku mangi urona na ni nguregire ukiuga tutanathi ikinya riu ringi turagirirwo kwamba kuiga vision 2030 haha mbere turore tumite ku tukinyite hana niki gitumite tutigakinyanire ihinda-ini riria riagirire ni maundu mariku macio tiga maria mucangioga megie ungumania na kwaga wigiririki wa a Kenya maratuma tukorwo tukiaririria ndereti ino muthenya wa muthi
gwiciria bururi uyu ni ukwenda gwiciririo muno tondu kwina vacuum nene muno ya representation iria ikuria na andu aria mara representwo liria leaders twambiriirie kuya leaders mena interest ciao not interest cia andu aria magiriire hau niho Kenya yacenjeirie ithuĩ turi young tuonaga mundu uria turathura ne focused on leader andu aria represent parliament is supposed to be a representation kind of kuria utwaraga uthia ku represent andu aiku kuria uthia gutwara matata mao kuria uthia gutwara maundu maria magiriire today ni tari area parliament area koretwo kuo ni tumakitie ni tondu weciria wira wa mubunge tutina wona at all no ngirora riria turagire na thina wa Gen Z aitu maroragwo ni undu wa kindu gitagwo finance bill area ithuothe twaugite ndiagirire no handu ha tuthikaniririe can you imagine mubunge akarega guthikiriria andu aria represent akarora kindu kiria aranengerwo on the table aga sign magacoka makauma hau magaturagira ciana that I'll never forget ni tondu mau nimo maundu mara maratucokia na thutha undu uri ungi ungirora vision 2030 it was categorical on the issues that were to be addressed systematically na maundu mamongirora no maria ona amaitu aria marurire wiathi na baba itu maugaga undu wa mbere wari uhoro wa healthcare uhoro wa mathibitari ati no nginya to improve thibitari citu nigetha tutige gutuika mundu uri arathie kuria public hospital daraheo services iria ciagirire umuthi if you go to our public hospitals handu ha ko improve ati wathiaga ugakora dawa twathiaga ugakora dawa na mundu agathondekwo ta ithu tugiaga ciana gutiari na thina he hindi gutari na thina no guthiete guthukite umuthi turathie kuruta atumia to ni urageire mwana he mbeca iria urenda urute na ndurutite kwogo health ituri mathibitari maituri there is a gap na tugite health for all ni agirirwo ni kurorwo nigetha mathibitari maitu matuike ati ti commercialized because you really cannot commercialize life. Riu rathi wakora mundu onathie private hospital nigetha aheo services ku ugathi wakora ndagitari no tondu na clinic yake ukaga kuona services in the public hospital nigetha umukore kuria in the clinic aguthondeke at a cost. Did we put policies? Have we put policies? Have we implemented maundu maria magirire nigetha mathibitari maitu you get in, you are treated up to the grassroots level, the dispensaries. Who is taking care of our dispensaries? How is the chain ya kuheanwo dawa? Has corruption taken over gukira implementation ya maundu maria tureka? So the issue of corruption also, unless we address it as Kenyans, I don't know, next 30 years, diyo Kenya kurega korwo. Uduri oge ni job creation. You know, Kenya initially has been referred to as an agricultural country. Korea turaragia in terms ya farming, in terms ya kukorwo ni ithu tura export. Rewo mothe warora our export ni ko reduce ete hadu hako improve. Na riria gwatuika tutiri na export no ku import, yani no kugira indo matumbe gira i Uganda, itunguru gira i Tanzania, ndo gira i Nakuria. Turarega ku empower murimi uria munini na naria twathi ku empower tukamwe fertilizer njuru handu ha kumuhe kumunyitirira arute wira uria wagirire. Therefore we need to be transparent, we need to be honest nigetha akone agriculture tuone ni yarugama. These are the pillars that we are talking of 2030 ati giriga shaginya irio we are able to feed our people. We cannot be able to feed our people agekoni turama support korea mashinani nigetha murimi akwari maga ki na ki ni arahota akoni wairia. For instance, murimi wairia, today we are talking of smart farming nigetha akowe na ng'ombe ciaku he kindu iragutigiria no kona karia no kahota guteithia family yaku. No agekorwo uguthie irio cia ng'ombe gucigura is a nightmare. It's very expensive. Kogo mukuri moria wakaria arathie ageria kuhorania irio cia ng'ombe ageria kuhora ndari kindu aritigirwo. Kogo farming yake ya dairy farming after very serious investment urathi ugakora ndari kindu arathondeka. Katutangirora ta bururi tuge atiriri murimi ura turamutaxike nigetha irio ici cigie goro muno cia ng'ombe kana cia tukurwe kana cia nguku itondu ni undu wa matumbi niki kiratuma twage gwiciria ati irio iria tungiaga gu taxation tweherie maundu maritu mundu wikuria mashinani no ahote kwendia matumbi make na to create itweke a way of job creation tuhote kwandika andu ni undu wa taxation kweheria. Ungirora ni issue ni kwa concern also ya security.
Ndeke Mary twacokereria ukwambiriria hau hegi ugitiri twitikirie kwa hinda riri tukorwo tugithie kuria county-ini ya Nyeri nigetha tukorwo tukiigua uge wa muikari wa guku county-ini ya Nyeri wigie ndereti ino ya kibururi iria irarugurio ni President William Ruto.
thengi muno urakorwo kinyamukire wega kuma gicigo-ini kiu bunge kia Nyeri Town tugithi na mbere na ndereti iria iragithii na mbere bururi ni mugima na makiria thini wa nyumba ya micemanio ya KCC egie kigamano gia kuruguria kioneki gia Vision 2060 iria president augite no nginyagia bururi ukorwo na kioneki nigetha ukorwo githii na mbere makiria hari maundu megie uthii wa na mbere na nigetha gukorwo ugikinyira mabururi maria magithiete na mbere tukorwo tukenania na muingi wa kaunti ya Nyeri magitwire hihi kigamano giki kana bata wa kioneki giki gia president William Ruto gia Vision 2060 nikiriko na no tagi gutwarithia bururi makinya maria president arakorwo akiuga.
Thengi muno hamaritwa ni njethagwo John Mwangi garao ni muikarire gite wa ando ahuri biashara hanini thiini wa tauni ya Nyeri. Njugi ati kioneki gia 2060 kiria muruto president arenda kuruguria muthenya wa muthi nigetha kugia na discourse kana horo igi kwaraniria ni wega tondu aragika uguo ni tondu wa meciria mega megie bururi no wega njugi ati discourse ya maundu megie Vision 2060 gwiciria ni kioneki kiri kuraihu muno kwambia ukiaririria na gitumire kimwe the year 2008 niguo kioneki gia Vision 2030 kiarehirwo ni president the late Mwai wa Kibaki na the Vision 2030 as we speak ginya muthenya wa muthi yaragiria horo igie 3 pillars. Number 1 yaragiria horo igie economy, yaragiria horo igie social na yaragiria horo igie political. Unfortunately gukinyagia muthi uyu tungirora horo igie the economy ito ya bururi maundu ni guthima na mbere guthuka ni tondu horo igie taxation nginyagia muthi ari na kurira mararira kurehe indo kuma na nja it has become an issue. Social ungirora horo igie githomo ungirora horo igie health department citu maundu macio mothe president uria wiho tha sitting ndari ahota gukinyaniria tuke horo igie political muthi intolerance ndio irehete thina muno ni tondu horo igie guinism ungirora horo igie kindu gitagwo human rights already has been violated kwa kuga atiri kioneki kiria the late president Mwai wa Kibaki ari nakio nginyagio muthi uyu gitire kirahota gukinyaniria thengi muno toko tuigue hari muthuri ungi ahoguo kioneki giki president arakora kiruguria na miari ino irakorwo igukorwo githii na mbere mungikwa ni mugwitwo metha-ini kuruta maoni ni maundu mariku mungikwa mukendekithia makorwo magikirwo thiini wa Vision 2060 ino president arakiwa no nginyagia ikorwo igikinyanirio nigetha bururi uthii na mbere.
Hamade twajetago Francis Kimani ni mbwire muikariri giti wa boda go thiini wa Nyeri Town constituency na mutongoria wa guku thiini wa gicigo kia Rware njuge ati twarora maundu maria president atwirira ndimo nituroragwo kana president jitu ni akoragwo agithoma mariekite kana ni akoragwo agithoma maratathi otoguo le waria huga fere uga ati mari maundu matatu thiini wa Vision 2030 na kumania na riu ginyagia go Vision 2030 tutigetie tugitano tutigetie miaka etatu tondu wenda 2027 2028 2029 2030 so we have allowed 4 years na ne fatabia toire thiini wa miaka yake na ri kana ne hotete kuhingia kioneki gia Vision 2030 agaikuhiriria kana ne kurikia rikitie nakio aga complete Vision 2030 maundu maria mothe yerirwo maundu ma mothe tuli tugeo na Vision 2030 tondu turatwetagirira uguo ambe atwire atiriri niki ekite nakio
thengi muno no akiguira kuma kuri ahuri biashara thiini wa town ya Nyeri makiuga kioneki president arakora kiruguria hari bata wa gukorwo akihingia kiria kiareho gia Vision 2030 kiria kiaruguritio ni Mwai wa Kibaki na kana agitariria a Kenya haria gikinyite nigetha giki gia Vision 2060 gikiambiriria giki atanyita gukora kiruguria nigetha gikorwo gikiambiriria na makinya maria magirire na kuma go county ya Nyeri gicokia mwaro studio ni agetwo Theuri wa Bogo.
Thengi muno Theuri wa Bogo kuma ku county ya Nyeri ni guturehera uge wa muikari wa ku Nyeri ni twaigwa maundu maria maruga matiganire namo riri turambiriria ndereti ya kibururi egie mwerekera wa Kenya mwiroreri urathi na mbere na kwirorera tafarira ya uge waku tukwamba twikirie ni tugucokereria tuthie na mbere na ndereti.
Muregakirwo darega yakihetwo dotige guthiururuka ugietha buroti PIMC Global Consult Limited twina buroti cia 1/8 kuria Malindi na thogora mubashirire wa shiringi 249 cash kana urihe 50,000 deposit balance urihe kahora gutare na interest. Buroti cito cia kilomita 1 kuma Ramine hakuhi na beach thaka cia Cheshale na Mambrui Sand Dunes na title cia tayari we kodo ti koge ne goko ginya thamaki ne mukumenya na maretwa araneria na PIMC Global Consult oro reu tukauga maridi agairwo retoro kongoria thimu nayo 0140 999910 PIMC Global Consult Limited, your trusted property partner.
mwana wothe uthite mugaro na watho wa mbere na hego privileges ciake tondu tu wa kindu kiu kimogetago the best interest of the child.
Watho ni ukumurora ta mundu mugima kana gutiramakania ni ihitia ririku eka angikorwo ni mwana egutritwo ta mwana
wina miaka makiria ma 12 ucio mwana no akorwo agitritwo na criminal liability ati angikamahitia ekuonekana ni aramenya uria arekaga.
Ukilipa na Airtel Money unapata 50% transaction fee as cash in your cashback wallet. Sini mina kushow.
Ni twacokereria ni ngatho mwiroreri ni undu wa guthie na mbere na guikarania na ithe mitambo-ini ya Inoro TV. Tabarira ni uge wako muthenya wa umuthi turaririria uhoro wigie mwerekera wa Kenya. Riri president araruguria dereti ya kĩbũrũri ĩgiĩ makinya marĩa twagĩrĩirwo nĩ gũtacũkia nĩgetha tũthiĩ hau hangĩ thutha wa kĩoneki kĩa mwaka wa 2030. Gũkũ studio tũrĩona Honorable Mary Kĩrĩka na Alexander Mũchangi. Honorable Mary, nĩ njũĩ he ũndũ kwenda kuga ũhoro wĩgiĩ ũgitĩri, no reke nyambe thiĩ kũrĩ Mũchangi. Na nĩ njũĩ nĩ wathikĩrĩria aikari a kũrĩa kaunti ya Nyĩrĩ marauga kĩoneki kĩu kĩa mwaka wa 2060 gĩkũraihu mũno, angĩ makauga president agĩrĩirwo kwamba gũtwĩra ihinda-inĩ rĩrĩa atungatĩte nĩ maũndũ marĩkũ ekĩte gũteithĩrĩria gũkinyanĩria kĩoneki kĩa mwaka wa 2030. Na tondũ president arauga ĩno nĩ ndereti ya Akenya, gĩkĩ nĩ kĩoneki kĩa Akenya. Akenya aya marĩ na mawoni mau no twĩrĩgĩrĩire makorwo magiteithĩrĩria kuimbia kĩondo gĩkĩ kĩa kĩoneki gĩkĩ.
Thank you Gathoni. Na we vandu nyambĩrĩirie na gũkwĩra kwĩ step ya rũgirwo ku build trust yetu ya institutions, ya politicians, ya wanasiasa yetu. Na korwa yo rĩu kĩrĩa kĩna thĩna thaino vision nĩ mbega. That one nwangwire na umate ni wega gukorwo na kĩoneki, na no wenda mivango ya kumenye rũciũ gekate in 10 years. Mivango yo ni mega, no ti thina ire ivo ni aria mareka mivango yo matie na wĩtĩkanio na Kenya. Na gĩtũmi maybe no ngoveka history kidogo. Tarĩu no agua aragua ni conversation ya Kenya. Tarĩu 2024 vau Honorable araugĩte finance bill ni twagĩrĩirie kuiga maoni Akenya ni magĩrĩirie kuinda maoni metu. Vende yo conversation ni necessary maregire gũtũthikĩrĩria vende yo niki. No raririkana Ebola camp kũrĩa na nyuki. Akenya ni magĩrĩirie kuinda sauti yao, no ti ũkaririka nginya CS wa health no athire mbunge na akiuga maoni ma Kenya matiravataranĩka na evandu. Koguo ndũngĩkorwo wĩna history ya kũrega kũthikĩrĩria andũ, then rĩu atĩ no icio atĩ rĩu no all of a sudden we mundu mũgĩtuga you cannot be wise all of a sudden atĩ rĩu no waũgeva pio renda kwĩra Kenya rĩu ino mujandara yo twĩnaguo nĩ wenyu. Koguo Kenya marona ta kwa kwĩna agenda aina yo yake personally considering ũrĩa akoretwo agĩtreat andũ vau mbere. Na again no watu kigenda vau va vision 2030 anake akoretwo akiimplicatwa thĩinĩ wa as you know as kivingiriro kia ku achieve maundu ma ukaririkana role Kimwarel no wagwetirwe, ukaririkana nginya achievement ya ku escalate base ya SGR no wagwetirwe na maundu mengi. Koguo Akenya magakorwo matie na trust nake kana mundu uyu anauga ni kiara lead conversation ino no uria matreatete. Koguo kindu kia mbere ngwisi president varia aravati kwambia conversation kana miario ino yake ni twambe neva ta bũrũri ndwese tuga thĩinĩ wa thimũ kwĩ hardware na software. Hardware ĩ sawa, software ino yetu nie nawe nĩkĩ ũtangĩmbĩtĩkia na mbia ciaku, nĩkĩ ũtangĩmbĩtĩkia na project vau nĩvo aravatere kwambia build trust yo. Tondu rĩu no the truth is conversation no ũregwa andũ a Nyĩrĩ makiuga ĩyo nĩyo tondu twĩna honorable twĩ kũrĩa andũ rĩ ĩyo nĩyo mĩario andũ menayo. Na no anginyambe a convince andũ atĩ ena intention mbega cia bururi mbere yao kenginya kuga muvango ore na gwa bururi maybe no ngove mugerekano ntaru ni family setup ndungikorwo weta muthuri ukoretwo ukivura mutumia waku drama vagia kuria then all of a sudden riu urauka kumwira riu tiga tuvange uria tukugia second born anake vau ni akona ai hapa kwina mundu arathakwo yes
na tulio hau uhoro ucio wigi a Kenya kwaga gukorwo na kana kwaga gwitikia maundu maria makoretwo magithie na mbere no mahote gutigithukania ati githurano tutigetie mwaka umwe na muoroto uria president naguo tondu ona ni aririria hau auga andu ni maramwira twambe turiki horo wigie githurano Akenya ni mekuhota gutigithukania horo wigie kĩoneki gĩa bũrũri na githurano kiria twerekeire mwaka turorete
riu gathoni kwe nginya thiini wa siasa mheshimiwa naye gukora gwe kindu gitagwa timing no korwo we mutongoria mwega no ti evinda riria wauka tiri andu marenda na omane ati thaino kwina urugari mwingi wa siasa mwingi pio na ana gitumi kingi andu a Kenya maraona ta kwa kwina kaundu ai muthithu ni ati conversation ekoretwo ivo ya one term two term tu koroneka ta kwa riu arainda ndetoino nigetha amuva we kuma conversation iyo ainde undu wingi wa occupy ya Kenya agikaga maundu make koguo ni kuringana ni timing ya kera njoku tondu aramiambiria venderia araukirerwa ni ya Kenya kwa wingi na yauka venderia turakuviria kithurano rikana 1 year to election Kenya ikoragwa vende mvio pio no teru maybe kuga kwambia conversation kana kwambia miari eno akia riu timelines mavinda ni mwavati kuva Kenya nigetha tumenye arenda ika ino vision yake 2060 ikambia ri tondu miari kwambia tha ino nguga ne undu mwega toguo na kwira yake bakia mbirie 206 not ya okire kolonjo in 2008 so akauga riu timeline yakwa nino no isiru ndarato va timeline no kwarauga no akoturaria
angimwira thutha wa mieri 6 ni mugwitikia
in 6 months
honorable Mary nejo no kuongerera uhoro wigie maundu mau megie kana ihinda riri ni rio riagiriru na mawoni mau ma andu anyiri no hari undu ukwenda kuhutiriria makiri uhoro wigie ugitiri na ihoto cia mwingi
thank you leadership yothe it evaluate life ya andu aria maratongoria ndiri hindi koragwo ikiaria on behalf of the people they represent. Hari ande daigwa herwa atiriri ate monopoly ya knowledge. Kenya kinyete hau ni tondu monopoly ya knowledge. Ogituika andu aria mathurirwo we ndurakimaigua. Because you must ask yourself, niki giatuma haha deputy president ni mware manu na kura mwethire muri hamwe kon murathi kaniriria ri ni mugi agree tondu representation ni andu amureka atia andu amura represent mukiri undu umwe ugi akwirora no urore andu ari ora represent ni kwenda kuga atiriri facts and figures do not lie oma na figures iria cirekuo itihenanagia facts and figures iria ire on the ground ni ati governance ya this government ni firite fio ni ngoretwo ndi mwena wa githomo na ni ngwenda kuga in vision 2030 githomo ni kiariririo muno because you know education is the equalizer in this country ati mwana ona muria muhinyiririku athoma ni agukorwo ari undu umwe na mwana uri ungi ungirora githomo uria ikoretwo gigithie ti guthondeka ni guthukia Kibaki did a lot of work to bring education on board. Na neho, I remember was part of the committee ya ufungamano initiative. Area twaragia uhoro wa free education in Kenya. Na nitwahotire go convince ni very important to make that basic education open to every kid. Mwana wa slum, mwana wa free education. Na tugagishoka tugathie na mbere during President Uhuru's time. Takuga ginya secondary. Ginya university mwana wothe ni anyitirirwo eke atia athome nigetha tukorwo na uhoro wa bũrũri wothe ni urecirio in terms of education mwana akinya university agagithia kaheo besha agathoma akariha later. Do get a system in education is so distorted. Todo torari horo wa capitation shiria iratwarwo kuria macukuru. Capitation niyo ndekinyaga at the right time. Ugakora muciari ona no orero akagure desk agitwara mwana admito because area ireto capitation ndekinyaga at the right time. Ukarora mathina macio mothe maratwarirwo o muciari wathie university. Can you imagine mwana rĩngĩ ni mwana ũtarĩ aciari rĩngĩ mwana ũcio nĩ go sponsor a sponsor to aigakinya hau. I've said I'm in education and we sponsor children. Ugakora mwana ũcio ara sponsorwa rwe university he area twetaga help no akinya university hena help ukuyuria maundu maya uheo besha uthie na mbere. Today kuratumirwo atiriri wambe wiyurie background umete ku region iriku haya baba wanyu athukumaga kio na nduri baba wanyu ndio ringi ndumuwi for that matter urendo muikaraga kijiji kiriku murihaga ureko personal evaluation ati wonekane kana umete mucii wi besha kana mucii utari besha yet we woka as an individual urarutire wira munene muno urathie university na nikwenda continue in the process. Ni muronie last year ciana itukite muno igeikara mucii. Have we really improved education status, education process? Na yakire githomo kiari very instrumental uhoro wa vision 2030. Nitwarie uhoro wa security. Leo nie nigikoretwo public life na nejo security is paramount, is very important to everyone. No riu twarorari ona ni uretwo uthie mucamanio ona kanitha ni ndiraikuo kanitha gugeikio tear gas. Tuonete tear gas gikio kanitha and I was there tikwirwo twerirwo. Riu ri warora oguo ri ni kindu kiriko gigituma tear gas gikio kanitha-ini gukire na security donia mutumia wari na kana akigeria ukahithana guku rugwa waiti tondu ni tukinyire hau gakiuga in terms of security ri ni ku improve it ka ni guthukia tuthukitie. Riu ndiraigwa almost every day every village mwanake ni arakuire nie tanake ni makuite muno na nie ta muciari ndina kieha. What is happening? Security department ito ya police officers and the whole administration, should we, I think we should just sit down toranie niki kiraria kiria kingi tondu mothe mukuraga mwana wa Njoroge na rucio mwana wa Ojwang na rucio mwana wa Chilchil na ciothe ni ciana cia Kenya. The issue of insecurity is very key na nitwagwo ni kumirora ni undu uria kurathie. Ugacoka he kindu twitaga industrialization. Nitwaugaga atiriri if you go to other countries ni ukoraga kuria kwina industries ona opportunity cia kuruta wira ciekuo muno. I'm coming from Thika. Thika used to be called industrial town. At one point yetagwo Birmingham of Kenya. Ni tondu and that's why we are so cosmopolitan. Thika you'll find all tribes. Turutaga wira so we are not tribal. Turutaga wira turi undu umwe. Ugakora andu marikagia macukuru maoka industries iria ciayure Thika. Industries like KTM. I'm brought up, my parents were working Thika, so I know Thika. Na ikio ndirera andu a Thika mahe Thika tucumicokie haria agirire. Ugakora ma industry maria marikuo gwokire thirikari ingi ikimanina andu magithie barabara. Akina KTM, think of KTM, twari na very big industries like metal box. Icio ciothe Thika ni oikaine. Ni ku improve it industries kana industrialization kana ni guthukia tuthukitie. Gakiuria atiriri turauga ciana mawira ni magire ri turauga andu mathoma matirona megwikari. Shouldn't we start there turanie as Kenyans? Haha tukwenda gwika atia no horo wambie kuria macinani tiguku KICC wa horo wagirwo ni kwambia kuria macinani. Anake itu ni moe nduthi cireka atia anake itu ni moe ona nduthi cio marariha urathi ugakomba nduthi ukaremwo ni gwika atia ni kuriha ni undu wa magoti uria maingihire. Kogwo when we compare vision 2030 na riu turaria uhoro wa vision 2060 it's not bad to talk about vision 2060. No undu wothe ukiuthondeka waba kwiyuria umuthi ndiha where have I come from no ngikaga even as a country kwĩyũria tumĩte ha. So nĩ twagwo nĩ kwĩyũria Kenyans tumĩte ha. Twĩ harĩu turorete ku. Vision hiyo yekiragwo ni President Kibaki, we shall forever be grateful to him. May he rest in peace. Ni undu wa gwiciria ona rucio rwa mwana. Angikorwo mwana ucio weciragio umuthi ona ni omoragirwo gwo wothe. What is not happening? Maybe we need to think as a nation toto tikiri na bururi ungi. Lastly, ni gwenda kuga ukoro wa ku divert attention. Sometimes because there is time for everything. Ona gwaku heigo ya kuruga. Heigo ya ndo mathie cukuru. If you do the right thing at the wrong time, then you don't achieve. So tutikwenda ku divert attention ya maundu maria marahutia ordinary Kenyans today, ati nigetha twari uhoro wa maundu magoka. Nie ngwenda umuthi nyambe nywe gacai na hone na menye mwana wakwa athie payslip yake. Darati niyo payslip akainuka atari kindu. Ati ona twana turi arageire ndangihota kuhe irio tondu payslip ainuka getari kindu. Ingenda kuona handu twina kindu twitaga proper public participation.
Nituguka hau hegie kuoya mawoni ma muingi na atogwo watariria kuria ndereti yo yagirirwo gukorwo ikiambiriria no reke kwa hinda riri tukorwo tukinyitanira na mwandiki witu wa mohoro uikaine ta Kimani Joel kuria mwena wa Molo, tuigue uge wa aikari aku thutha ucio tunyitanire na Francis Madi kuma Gicwaini.
Negatho studio na nema uranyamukira kuma mwena wa Elbagon guku ari gicigo-ini kia ubunge kia Moro muthenya wa umuthi tabarira-ini ya uge waku tugikiaririria uhoro wigie kugacirithia bururi muno umuthi president agikiruguria kĩoneki kia mwaka wa 2060 itegute mahinda ngwenda kwaraniria na ikari kuhiriria tukianjia na maritwa maku hihi nywe mwamukirite kurugurio gwa kĩoneki giki na njira iriku na hihi riri nirio ihinda riega ria gukiruguria.
Maritwa ni George Kamau wa Mungai, muteti muhuri biashara na muikari wa Elbagon. Uhoro wa kĩoneki ya 2060 gukorwo na kĩoneki ti mahitia, no gukorwo na kĩoneki ni wega kwĩyũria. Ni twari na kĩngĩ twambĩrĩirio ni mutigaire president wa gatatu Kibaki ya 2030. Ni hingo njega ya kwĩyũria kana kĩrĩa ya 2030 ni tuhingĩtie. Tugacoka tondu hari na maundu matahingite hihi kĩoneki kĩrĩa ri kĩngĩendire uhoro wa urigitani ukorwo kinyite level yo ri. Kĩoneki kĩu no kĩaragia uhoro ya 2030 no kĩaragia uhoro wa macukuru na funding model iria cirenderea tha ici niguo mangĩendire gukorwo kuhana uhoro wa housing, uhoro wa mawĩra. Tugacoka tukauma hau tugoka thirikari ono ithuĩ twagĩthurire yari na manifesto yayo o iria turamenya wega ati ndihotete kuhingia. Ni koretwo na maundu o maingi ni twanjiriirie no horo wa bottom up ni augite ni kurora horo wa ahuria biashara ya nini, horo wa boda na atumia. Twaumire kuna twakinyirie ku horo ucio nigetha tugicoke tukiaria horo wa 2060. Tugacoka tukeyuria, is this the best time kwaria horo ucio o riria turona ati urugari wa kiuteti uri iguru. Horo wa national dialogue tondu horo ucio ni horo fatie kwario ni andu mecuba na andu me hamwe. Kwina miahu ri bururi nduri hamwe no tuhenanirie. Ni tondu na wagithikiriria president mĩario acote akacoketwo akiaria uhoro wa ang'ethanĩri yake. Ni arauga ni andu matari hakiri, ni andu matareciria na matari na agenda. Ni tugukorwo twi hamwe tukiarĩrĩria uhoro wa kĩoneki kiu. Koguo hore ni ingihoya ingĩũria ati twambe tumenye bururi ukorwo wi hamwe, andu makorwo me hamwe na twambe tuhinyie cia 2030 vision 2030 na agenda yake na manifesto ĩrĩa arĩ nayo tukimuthura 2022.
Negatho reke nyitanire no ngikuhiriria tu hihi we uri ta muthathauri wa maundu ma kiuteti thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza ni eranĩire maundu maingi hihi ni urona ta mahingite mbere ya twambitie gubangira mangi meguka na tutigitie miaka 30 kĩoneki kiu nigetha gigikinyanire miaka iyo 30 hena undu gwikika.
Hari tore yakwa ni Elijah Njoroge na murimi mugiri angihanda kindu last year ri atahandite kindu kingi next year ri aba akona ndahandire ndirekira bataraitha ndirahanda mbembe ndagetha ki haria tukinyite ri bururi undu na thina na iroto bũrũri ũyũ wĩna thĩna na kũhingia cioneki icio tondũ kwana roto iroto nyingĩ mũno. Mwai wa Kibaki nĩatũtigĩire vision 2030 vision yarĩ njega mũno. In fact andũ arĩa othe manoka matuĩke president after that mangĩbasaga manifesto yao kũringana na ũrĩa Kibaki augĩte. No rĩu rĩ mĩaka ĩno ĩna yathira rĩ mũthenya wa mũthĩ kĩrĩa tũbatiĩ gwĩtwo KICC gwĩka tũgũbatiĩ gwĩtwo tũthiĩ tũkorio atĩrĩrĩ harĩa tũkinyanĩtie rĩ tũtwaranĩtie atĩ kũringana na vision 2030 ĩrĩa yatigĩtwo nĩ Mwai wa Kibaki nĩgetha tũgĩcoka gwĩciria wa 2060 mĩaka 34 kumania na ũmũthĩ rĩ tũmenye haha thutha rĩ maũndũ marĩa tũhotete kũgĩa na gains tarũ political class nĩ Kibaki nĩatigĩte uga wega mũno kũgĩa na democracy ciama ciheo gĩtĩo no rĩu tuona ciama ciũragĩtwo thaa icio andũ ngĩmenya opposition nĩ mwena ũrĩkũ thaa icio andũ ngĩmenya mũndũ wĩ thirikari nĩ mwena ũrĩkũ tondũ othe matukanĩte kũrĩa bunge no kuga yes twambe twĩtwo tumenye to take stock ya 2030 ũrĩa ihana na tukĩambĩrĩria kũrota iroto ingĩ ciana kũu mbere kũndũ kũraihu na tũĩkana tũgakorwo twĩkuo.
Nĩ ngatho mwĩroreri wa Inoro TV ũcio nĩguo uge wa aikari agũkũ mwena wa Moro na nĩ ũndũ wa mahinda ndikuongerera mangĩ ngũhũndĩra Mwaro na studio kuma gũkũ mwena wa Elbagon Moro county-inĩ ya Naikuru niĩ njĩtagwo Joel Kimani wa Njuguna.
Thengiũ na ngatho nyingĩ nĩ ndĩrakũnyita na njĩra njega ndĩ gũkũ gĩcũa-inĩ kaunti ĩno ya Mombatha tũgũkorwo tũkĩaranĩria na amwe a aikari a kaunti ĩno ya Mombatha nĩgetha magĩtwĩre o hihi kĩoneki gĩkĩ kĩa mwaka wa 2060 torĩa mũgathe agĩkoretwo agĩtarĩria makinya marĩa aragĩtarĩria magũkĩrũmĩrĩra gwĩkĩerekera gũkinyanĩria kĩoneki gĩkĩ o kũrĩ o marakĩona na njĩra ihana atĩa.
Asante sana niĩ kwa marĩtwa makwa njĩtagwo Mũkaria John niĩ ndĩ mũikari wa Mombatha. Kĩndũ gĩkĩ gĩa president gũtwĩra tũrathiĩ vision 2060 nitakana ararota no ndũ gũtingĩtuĩkĩka atĩ nĩ tũrathiĩ vision 2060 na 2030 ĩrĩa mũtigaire Mwai wa Kibaki atũtigĩire tũtirĩ twakinya gũkũ gũtwĩra tũrathiĩ 2060 na recently nĩ aratwĩrĩte tũrathiĩ nĩ aratũtwara Singapore inda rĩrĩ andũ maraiya thirikari ĩno ya Kenya rĩu kũu nĩkuo tũrathiĩ vision 2060 kana nĩkuo aratũtwara Singapore. This is a scam in scam nĩ kũiya andũ marenda kũiya andũ na ithuĩ andũ a Kenya nĩ tũracanũkire tũtingĩenwo rĩngĩ maũndũ ma kwĩrwo maũndũ ma vision 2060 na gũkũ andũ marararĩra biashara gũtirĩ kambuni ciothe cirahingirwo kambuni 400 companies zimefunga hapa Kenya zirathiĩ kũrĩa nja rĩu aratwĩra tũrathiĩ vision 2060 gwĩkate ona gĩa 2030 ndakinyanĩirie ihinda rĩa Kibaki nĩrĩo ciana ici mbeũ njĩthĩ twandĩkirwo zaidi ya vijana milioni 2 no ndũ Kibaki nĩ areire tukutuku cia kwandĩka vijana Huyu ulikuwa dhaisi William Ruto wira wake no kuraga andu turadhi Singapore kana 20 vision 2060 akiuraga andu ona Mugikuyu na igaga ruru rutari njau niko ukarukaga.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Hussein, ni mkaji hapa Mombasa. Kutokea wakati wa Moi, hata kama Moi alikuwa dikteta, wananchi alikuwa anafaidika sana kwa njia moja ama nyingine. Jambo la pili, Kibaki alipokuja alisema vijana watafanya kazi. Ukweli kabisa, tulifanya kazi na tumefanya kazi. Hii project iko hapa Mombasa ya tuk-tuk na pikipiki ni ya Kibaki. Ni maisha ya Kibaki, si Ruto. Ruto amekuja ameua hizo kazi zote, ameleta gari zake za stima, alafu anasema vision 2060. Vision 2060 ni yake. Jana wamekaa kule bunge sijui wapi, wamekaa wanasema ati uchumi umemarika. Uchumi umemarika kwa tajiri yeye na watu wake. Na mtu akiongea ukweli sasa anaambiwa ni mkabila. Gachagua anaongea ukweli anaambiwa ni mkabila. Kwani Gachagua alienda Kakamega na ukabila Ukikuyu? Ama Ruto alipigiwa kura na Wakikuyu peke yake ndiye akapita anasema ni ukabila? Mbona kama ni ukabila wakati akipigiwa kura hakusema na Wakikuyu, leo ndiye anasema Wakikuyu ni wakabila? Yeye na kina Murkomen Magunsu wanakuja wanafanya fujo, wanasemekana ati ni ukabila. Ukabila inatokea wapi na hapo? Alafu vision 2060, utaangalia vision 2060 ama utaangalia maisha ya Mkenya sasa anaishi? Hiyo ni kitu moja ambayo wao yamekaa wanaangalia hizo mfuko zao na project zao. Kwanza hii project ya sijui affordable house, niko sure 100% mtu kama mimi ama mwingine ambaye ni dereva wa matatu, wa tuktuk, wa pikipiki, hizo nyumba zitakaa wao. Mimi ndapata wapi 1.2 million ama 2 million ama hata 1 million kulipa nyumba? Hizi za matajiri wanafoji watu akili, wana brainwash watu. alafu anasema ati Vision 2060. Vision 2060 dadi ni uongo. Wa Kenya tunadanganyana, hakuna Vision 2060.
Thengio muno na ngugiciria no wakiiguira makiuga ati atire bata wa gukorwo tugithii na mbere na kioneki kia mwaka wa 2026 no magakiuga kioneki giki kia mwaka wa 2026 matirona kaige gukinyanira na magakiona giki ni kiroto kia muthenya. Thengio gucokia miaro na kuri studio andu-ini ha Inoro TV kuma guko gicwa-ini kaunti ya Mombatha ni njitagwo Francis Madi.
Thengio muno Francis kuma ku mwena wa Mombatha o ndumwe na Kimani Joel kuma mwena wa Molo na ngugiciria angikorwo ni turambiriria ndereti ya kibũrũri na mawoni maya turamukira kuma kuri muingi haha tabarĩra-inĩ ya uge wa kumagĩrĩirwo gukorwo magithikĩrĩrio. Mwĩroreri twĩtĩkĩrie twambe twĩkĩrie ni tũtemerwo matamo ma mohoro ni tũgũcokereria tuthie na mbere na ndereti.
Muregakirwo daregagakĩhetwo tũtige gũthiũrũrũka ũgĩetha buroti. PIMC Global Consult Limited twina buroti cia 1/8 kũrĩa Malindi na thogora mũbacĩrĩre wa ciringi 249 cash kana ũrĩhe 50,000 deposit balance ũrĩhe kahora gũtarĩ na interest. Buroti citũ ciĩ kilomita 1 kuma Ramini hakuhĩ na beach thaka cia Cheshale na Mambrui Sand Dunes na title ciĩ tayari we kodo ti koge nĩ gũkũ nginya thamaki nĩ mũkũmenya na marĩtwa. Aranĩria na PIMC Global Consult oro rĩu tũkauga Malindi yagairwo rĩ toro. Kong'oria thimũ nayo 0140 99 99 10. PIMC Global Consult Limited, your trusted property partner.
Mungu, asante kwa siku hii ya leo. Asante kwa kuniamsha asubuhi. Asante kwa baraka na neema zako. Asante kwa wema na fadhili zako. Umekuwa nami kwa mazuri na mabaya. Niwezeshe nikupende zaidi, nifuate ahadi zako, kwani uko na mipango mema kwangu. Amina.
Dial *811*404# to get Mungu as your skiza tune.
Mamwe mamaria tukuharĩrĩirie Inoro miaraho. President Ruto kuruguria kĩoneki gĩa bũrũri gĩa thutha wa mwaka wa 2030. Mũtimi omwe kũragwo na gũikio irima-inĩ rĩa maĩ Gatũndũ ya rũgongo. Na mũndũrũme ũmwe kũhũrwo na gũcinwo agĩkwĩrwo nĩ ya thimũ mwena wa Kangai Kĩrĩnyaga.
Wega gũkuhĩrĩria wiguaga ũrakarĩte. Nĩkĩ kĩũru kana nĩ ũrona kuma inyuĩ rĩu mũkorwo mũgĩtigana na Sabi. Manuwe nĩ amũkuhĩrĩirie mũno.
Nĩ twacokereria nĩ ngatho mwĩroreri nĩ ũndũ wa gũthiĩ na mbere na gũikarania na ithuĩ no wa kamũira tũcokereirie gũkũ studio tukwamba tuthie ĩmwe kwa ĩmwe o nginyagia kũrĩa nyũmba-inĩ ya mĩcemanio ya KICC kũrĩa kũrĩ na ũrugũria wa ndereti ya kĩbũrũri ĩgiĩ mwerekera wa bũrũri na kwa ihinda rĩrĩ mũnini wa president Professor Kithure Kindiki nĩ ũrarekereria ndũmĩrĩri yake twambe tũmũthikĩrĩrie.
Including moderating inflation from 9.6% where we found it to now a stable under 6%, and we are still working on the issue of inflation. Of course, on that front also, we have been able to attract last year the highest amount of foreign direct investment in the history of our country, $3.2 billion. This is a report of the United Nations agency, UNCTAD, last year. And all these things put together are showing a stable economy. The central bank lending rate to commercial banks has come down from 13.5% to 8.75% at the moment. The price of government paper, government bonds, and treasury bills has come down, and now that means private sector can access credit and so forth and so on. We have stabilized the economy. Number two, we've been able to work on the agricultural transformation, and we have achieved a number of things under the agricultural transformation pillar. We have been able, for example, to register our farmers. We used to work on guesswork. We didn't know how many farmers we have, where they are, what they grow, the size of their farms, the kind of fertilizer they need. Now we have a register of 7.2 million farmers. We have also been able to increase our production of some of the major value chains in agriculture. Maize production has grown from 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags last year to underwrite our food security. Unga prices have also been moderated from 250 shillings to right now around 140, 150 for 2 kilograms. We've also been able to transform the coffee sector by removing cartels and increasing our production of coffee, and also the income to coffee farmers has now grown from 60, 70 shillings a kilo of cherry to about 120 to 160 per kilogram of cherry. Our tea production has grown from $138 billion shillings, 138 billion shillings in 2022 to last year's 215 billion shillings. Our sugar production has grown from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to last year's 815,000 metric tons of sugar. And therefore, that is a big milestone in terms of that value chains. And we have now more farmers benefiting in that sector. We have revived the industries and the factories in the sugar sector and so forth and so on. So we are also now the largest producer of processed milk in Africa, because we have moved our milk production, processed milk, from 4.6 billion liters a year in 2022 to currently, by last year, 5.5 billion liters. Kenya now has overtaken 3 other countries, and we are the #1 producer of processed milk in the African continent. So we have done some progress. We are vaccinating our livestock to make sure we get herd immunity so that we can promote exports of livestock products. Right now we have vaccinated 8.9 million heads of cattle, and we're in the process of achieving the target of over 70% immunization. We are also promoting dairy farming, and by also managing the price of sexed semen, which we found at 8,000 per dose, and now it is at 1,400 per dose. More farmers are getting hybrids through sexed semen. So that is agriculture. Number 3, education, very quickly. This is quick fire. In education, we've done a few things. One, we've been able to streamline CBC curriculum. The uncertainties which were there around the curriculum have now been stabilized. We have transitioned from one level to another, which is seamless. Number 2, we have increased funding to education from 500 billion shillings 2022. This year, it's 784 billion shillings. And that is a big leap in this sector. Funding for universities has increased from 42 billion shillings in 2022 to 82 billion shillings last year. Scholarships to university students was increased from 17 billion shillings in 2022 to 41 billion shillings last year. We have employed 100,000 teachers. We have constructed 23,000 classrooms. We have improved on the funding model for our universities, and there is a bill before Parliament now to make sure that every young person, every student who qualifies to join university is funded fully and completely without any regard to the kind of background they come from. So those are some of the highlights we've done in the education sector, work in progress. Universal health care, we have moved the number of Kenyans with public medical insurance cover from 8 million under NHIF to currently 32.2 million Kenyans. We are working to modernize the equipment, enhance drug supply, and make sure that our health professionals are motivated to make sure that we perfect the universal health coverage. Number 5, on public infrastructure, we are working on roads, railway, airports, seaports. On the roads sector, when President William Ruto took over, many roads are stalled and we didn't have money to unlock that funding. Through innovative resource mobilization, we've been able to pay all road contractors the pending bills. And today, the roads that are stalled across Kenya, which amount to 6,000 kilometers across the 47 counties, we've paid all the pending bills, 177 billion shillings, and the contractors now are back. Every county is experiencing road construction, including areas of our country that for a long time had been left out. You have heard about the famous Ruto Road from Isiolo to Modogashe to Kulamawe. You've heard about that road? Barabara itoke Isiolo, iende Kulamawe, iende Modogashe, iende Samata, itoke Samata, iende Wajia. Wajia Tarbaj. Tarbaj itoke hapo, iende Kotulo. Itoke Kotulo, Kobo. Kobo, Eloak. Eloak, Gare. Gare, Ramu. Itoke Ramu, iende Mandera. Rais Ruto ni fire, si fire. You must also be aware that under this administration, we are connecting the port of Lamu through Ijara to Garissa to Isiolo, areas of our country that for a long time had been left out. But we are also working on extending the SGR from Naivasha into Kisumu, Busia, Malaba. That project is ongoing as we speak today. We are building a new terminal, a new airport at Jomo Kenyatta, something we had not imagined we could do it. 155 billion shillings, again through innovative funding arrangements to make sure that we have modern infrastructure. Right now, we also have a port modernization program, which is about 60 billion. And that is taking place at the port of Mombasa, seaports, airports, railways, roads, because that is what will take us to the first world. The so-called shiny things. I had a not so informed critic saying that we don't want shiny things. The difference between the third world, where we are, and the first world, partly is the shiny things. There are better roads, better airports, better facilities across the board. So that's what we are doing around infrastructure. Energy, the president has mentioned, we have moved connectivity to 10.3 million households, up from 8.9 million households. The target is to reach all the households of Kenya, the 15.6 million homesteads. And in the next 4 years, we'll have achieved that target of universal electricity connection. But we need our production capacity to go up. And that's why President Ruto has come up with the National Infrastructure Fund to be able to rejig the agricultural transformation agenda, to rejig our energy production capacity, and also to help us with irrigation and to help us with the infrastructure as we continue expanding on what already has been done. As you are aware, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly as I wind up, you have a few other highlights. We are trying to create as many jobs as possible to the people of Kenya. We have a number of programs. The Kazi Kwa Ground program through affordable housing, 650,000 Kenyans already working in that space, working towards 1 million Kenyans plus. We also have Kazi Mtandaoni, about 300,000 Kenyans who are earning a living through digital jobs. How have we created digital jobs? By increasing connectivity of the fiber optic cable, Right now, we have built over 30,000 kilometers of the fiber optic cable terrestrially on our land to make sure that we have connectivity, and we are also doing ICT hubs, already completed 382 ICT hubs, and another 416 hubs are under construction to be completed in the course of the year. But we are also creating jobs through the Overseas Employment and Job Creation Program, Kazi Maju, 538,000 Kenyans, facilitated by government, which has put in place a transparent program of promoting overseas labor. And this has helped us to increase the remittances from our diaspora so that we can use that money to build our economy. So we are creating that. Just allow me to say maybe one last thing that I left out around public infrastructure. We've made a lot of progress. Since 1987, that is the last year that Kenya built a good international standard stadium. And that was Kasarani in 1987 during the All African Games. President Ruto has put up Talanta, the Raila Odinga Talanta Sports Center. It is there for all to see, 60,000 seater. And on that basis, we are hosting AFCON 2027, together with Uganda and Tanzania. President Ruto's administration has also refurbished Kasarani and Nyayo into international standards. And above all, and most important, President William Ruto's administration is currently building 32 other stadiums across the counties of Kenya. No other administration has been able to improve the sports infrastructure to that level. Your Excellency the President, we have done some work. A lot of work needs to be done. You have laid the foundation. We now, as we have this conversation, we want to see what levers we have to take our country to the next level. And already, the coming into force of the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, those two instruments of financial and resource mobilization will take Kenya to the next level. I believe that, as Professor Hino told us, Kenya and Africa is able to venture into the league of wealthy, developed nations. We just need good leadership. We also need confidence in ourselves that what other nations can do, what other races can do, the African race can also generate countries that can move from poverty and move into progress. It is possible. And therefore, Mr. President, as I sit down, I want to challenge ourselves as Kenyans not to be dismissive and skeptical all the time, and to depoliticize the development of our country. We can politicize everything else. Let us not politicize the development of our country. Because if we do so, then we see some of the results that have created the kind of gaps that we have seen. So we need confidence in ourselves, the ability of our nation to rise. We need strong leadership, and we must insulate, as we have this conversation, this country from policy disruption. The biggest threat of African countries, the biggest threat of the developing countries is policy disruption, where some of the things that I've talked about have been put in place, but they are disrupted when there is a change of administration. Somebody comes with their ego as opposed to the national interest, and they want to change this, to change the other, to disrupt this, instead of perfecting the foundation on which our country has been raised. Thank you very much. God bless you. I submit.
Asante sana to the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki. As you can tell, many of those points he can even speak in his dream, even as we dream into beyond 2030. So let me talk to stakeholders at least some representatives who have been in the journey of Vision 2030 and are going to be part of the journey moving past this into 2060, 2063 as Kenya.
Mwiroreri kune korea KICC kuria kuri na igongona riu ria kuruguria ndereti ya kibũrũri na ucio warikia gukorwo akiariria bũrũri-inĩ munini wa president Professor Kithure Kindiki onake akionania kwiganira gwake na makinya maria bũrũri ukoretwo ugitacukia na ni kurekereria turarekereria riu na mucangi munini wa president arekereria na kuga tutigatuike andu a guteanagiria maundu maria moka na gwiciria maundu maria kana mawoni maria akenya makoretwo makiruta ni makuonania matiganĩire na ũndũ ũrĩa ũrathiĩ na mbere ihinda-inĩ rĩrĩ. Hihi kũringana nawe tũgĩthiĩ na mbere nĩ ugire ũhoro wĩgiĩ akenya kwamba gũkorwo na mwĩhoko na president tũgĩthiĩ na mbere magĩrĩirwo gũkorwo magĩtwarithia ndereti ĩno na mbere na njĩra ihana atĩa nigetha ithuothe tũkorwo tũrĩ handũ hamwe tondũ ona harĩ mwaria waririe auga kwa ihinda rĩrĩ bũrũri-inĩ twagayũkanĩte mĩena ĩrĩ na nĩ mũrauga tũke metha-inĩ twarie twĩna ũma na ndeto ĩrĩa tũreka nĩ gũtirĩ harĩ tũratiriha.
Thank you Gathoni. So korodia katiba yetu thĩinĩ wa article 43 ni ĩvete ya Kenya atĩ guarantee ya economic and social rights na thirikari ikamba kuroria vau make sure ati ya Kenya onthe economic na social rights yao ni ciarorua thibitari ni iraruta wira kithomo ni kiraruta wira kuma vau mathie human rights akisi yao tando gutie mundu arathie kururunga na karathwa gutie kwirwo turathwe maguru tando anini vau ngwiciria ni andu ni maguforo kugia mwivoko na atongoria yetu na aria maivo kuma vau mundu avewa uigiririki wa kuroria indo cia bũrũri wakorwo wavewa MP wakorwo wavewa CS gutie ndugakorwo wina maundu ma integrity issues ukaroria article 10 ni aragiriria uvoro wa national values na no arenyitithanaguo na chapter 6 ya katiba integrity ya kuta Kenya kana ta mutongoria iko na wa Mukenya wanake erorie uigiririki uria araveo aragutumira na njira iriku nigetha tutigakorwo ni uigiririki wetu na thirikari ana uigiririki wetu na mundu uria wingi anaguo korwo wivo ta Kenya. Yes,
thank you muno Mary ndagika ni mwetu ya gutiriha.
Okay, gwenda kuga maundu Mary kana matatu wa mbere ithuĩ ta Akenya andu a Kenya twicirie muno andu aria turathura tondu andu marathie ta riu I know today besha ni ikogwa nyingi biu na tondu gukire representation yo keke but besha icio iraneanwo ri igacoka igoka mashinani tugathura mundu tondu ni oka na mabesha no tukariganirwo besha icio no iria ciaku iria pay slip ya mwana waku iria karia karia wendagia iria kabiacara karia wekaga kararutwo taxation koguo ngauga atiriri tondu turorete elections na ni horo wama hindi no tutikuhenio na besha voter bribery andu aitu keep off go for quality leadership go for leaders na riu horo watongoria ri kwi kindu twitaga
kireria fio ndirero ndagika ni ciathira
twekwe kindu kitago track record turore horo cio wa track record ya leaders yaitu. Number 2 uhoro wa gunism no twende turoe tariu ithu atumia ni tukurugama na tutingienda tuiguage guoya ati gunism na case security irorwo nigetha andu mathie makimenyaga ati bururi uyu ni witu na security. Number 3
wa mwisho riu
wa mwisho ni ngwira atumia itu murugame ite to bururi uyu thiini wa katiba ni twaririo horo wa 2/3 gender rule area up to today itayatuika implemented in parliament na korwo no tugie na thirikari eguka implement maundu maria andu mahitukagia no twarie uhoro wa thirikari ira represent andu tondu tukwaria uhoro wa atumia twarie uhoro wa youth na twarie uhoro wa inclusivity na tucoke tuge atiriri nturiaria kaunduka kangi keho karanda karia getagwo equalization fund tondu equalization fund ndirathio uria kwagirire no but that's an agenda we shall talk about no atumia ni ndamuthaitha mutigetigire na gutire mundu umwe uri hota gutongoria anake mutihota muri inywa iki athuri mutihota muri inywa iki na atumia mutihota muri inywa iki bururi utunyitirire na twawunyitirira ni tugakena rucio ni tondu bururi witu ni ugakorwo wega na ngicoke ngiuge just a second ngiuge atiriri ni turakena ni undu wa andu aria manyitirire bururi matiretigera hey kinyira yo hau agacagwa na ari angi ni turakena thengio
ucio ni Honorable Mary Kirika mutongoria wa atumia na muteti kuma kuria Thika county-ini ya Kiambu na ningi no tukiuma na Alexander Mushagi onake ni mutaramu wa maundu megie mwathanire kuma o kuria county-ini ya Embu tumucokerie ngatho cia mwanya